Well, the Utah Transit Authority sees an average of 7 fatalities a year from collisions involving their buses and trains. These tragic incidents leave the victims' loved ones with tremendous grief, and the operators can also suffer lifelong effects. Tonight, ABC4's Rosie Nguyen shows us how these crashes impact the person driving the train.
We are following breaking news reports of a man in his 40s killed by a FrontRunner train.
It's a headline we hear all too often.
A man who was likely on his cell phone was hit and killed by a FrontRunner train.
Preventable collisions that turn fatal. Officials with Utah Transit Authority say they encounter close calls almost daily.
Most of the time, it's really just a case of somebody who's being distracted.
One could say it's an inherent risk that comes with the job of being an operator at Utah Transit Authority. But for Light Rail Controller Supervisor Ryan Wagner, it's a risk he tries not to think about.
It was probably about 9 months before I got on a train again. And, to this day, I seek help.
Wagner is talking about the traumatic incident that took place nearly 8 years ago. It was June 2011 when he was training with an instructor on a TRAX train. They were approaching the Jordan Valley crossing in West Jordan when
we had noticed that 2 younger pedestrians had walked in front of the train, and the second they stepped out, it was already too late.
The impact killed one of those pedestrians, 15-year-old Shariah Casper. Wagner became overwhelmed with guilt after he had just welcomed a second child into the world with his wife.
I sat there and told myself, why did I deserve to have my kids when I just operated something that took somebody else's away?
Shariah's death remained in headlines for weeks while her father was advocating for improved pedestrian safety in the area. But in the meantime, no one from the public knew how Wagner was suffering at home.
You can't sleep at night. You have so much going through your head that you need help to process everything.
Data obtained by ABC4 News shows UTA bus, TRAX, and FrontRunner operators are involved in an average of 7 fatal collisions per year. Suicides made up 25% of those fatalities in the last 5 years, and nearly 40% of those fatalities were caused by someone trespassing.
It means a lot to them. So when something tragic happens, they're affected just like any other person, you or I would be.
Arky says UTA provides mental health services for their operators with no required timeline for returning to work following a traumatic incident. He says some never return to work, but those who do?
Some can't get back into the cab, but by and large, I would say most of them come back, and they're strong people. They care about what we do as an organization, what the mission is, and they love their jobs.
After only a few weeks, Wagner returned to work, but it took him 9 months before he could get on a train. Now, as a light rail controller supervisor, he looks after the employees who once sat in the seat that he once did. Even though he doesn't know if he'll ever fully heal, he's sharing his story, hoping it will save someone else's life.
My outlook is always to make sure everyone's safe, to make sure that they're educated and understand why things are done the way they're done.
Reporting for ABC4 News, I'm Rosie Nguyen.
Statistics from the Utah Transit Authority show that when it comes to deaths from people struck by FrontRunner trains, 65% of those are suicides, with another 23% caused by people trying to beat the train at a crossing.